Welcome to Victoria's Stars. I am your hostess, Victoria Schneps, the publisher of the Brooklyn Home Reporter and the Brooklyn Spectator magazines. You know, Brooklyn is a unique borough, inhabited by the best of the best in people, places, and happenings. And we will be bringing into your home those people who make our borough the greatest. So sit back and enjoy as I bring you tonight Renne McClure and Dolly Williams. Welcome. Renne, now you both are greatly successful women. And I know, would you share with us the title that you now hold?
I work for National Grid. I'm the manager of community and customer management, and I cover all of Brooklyn.
All right. And Dolly?
I'm the president and CEO of my company, A. Williams Construction, which I started in 1978.
Well, you know, I think this is, I'm feeling very strongly because I started my business from scratch 28 years ago. And I know that women have the hardest time in the balancing of the many balls we must do to be successful. And today you sit here as two stars and two people who have been well recognized, but it wasn't always that way. Renne, how did you get into this world of National Grid and this world where you are today? You know, where did you start out?
Okay. Well, I actually started out in Long Island. The company was Loco, and there was a merger between Loco and Brooklyn Union, which formed Keyspan. And then back in 2007, Keyspan was acquired by National Grid. Actually, my background is IT. So I have a degree in computer science. And with
How were you so smart to get into that so many years ago?
Many years ago, lots of years ago. And from that involvement with computer science, I really got involved with the community. So it was just a natural fit for me as we looked at ways to move through the company to transition from IT and also into the community world, because I got involved with a lot of nonprofit organizations.
Giving back. I saw your resume. You have a long line of give backs that you have to make both the company's visibility great, but also to give back to these groups that so desperately need it.
Absolutely.
You know, and I know, Dolly, you also started with, I started with $250. I heard you started with $5,000.
I certainly did. And that was money saved up from the menial jobs that my husband and I did. And we wanted to put that as a down payment on a home. We have two beautiful children, and wanted to get out of the apartment in the projects where we lived in East New York. So instead of doing that, we came up with, we really wanted to be entrepreneurs more than we wanted the home. So we invested. We come from both farm families, my ex-husband and I, and so we decided that we were going to go along. We were used to trucking and to digging and that sort of life.
What country were you from?
Trinidad.
Oh, okay.
And so is he. So we took this $5,000, located a very old truck way out on Long Island, and we went there, took this money out of the bank, and just purchased the truck. We had absolutely no idea what the regulations were, and we had no idea what we were in for, I have to tell you. And we started A. Williams Trucking and became entrepreneurs.
So when you had that truck, did you first have a job for using the truck, or once you bought the truck, were you finding a job?
We had no jobs, but we had an idea of where we can find work, because my husband was in the trucking business, was in the construction business. So working on the jobs, he, you know, met people, spoke to people, and he said to me, you know, we can do this too. Let's get the city record. Those days $1.50. Let's pick up the paper and we'll see jobs and we'll find out where they need a truck. And that's exactly what we did.
Remarkable,
Yes,
remarkable.
Absolutely.
So how did you get into your career, Renne? Where did you get started? Right out of college, or
Right
was it?
College, worked since I was 14 years old.
14?
14
At
years
what?
old. Community work,
Okay.
community centers, volunteered at different schools where I did, got involved with counseling. So that's always been a part of my life. So again, it was an easy transition. Even when I worked in the IT area, I would travel into Harlem, and at that time there was Malcolm King College, was still in existence, and I would do career counseling there. So it's just something that I've always been a part of, and it's been traveling with
It's
me
in your
throughout life.
genetic makeup. It's in your
Absolutely.
genes.
Absolutely.
Because it's very interesting how, you know, where you started too in your world, you know, probably coming from Trinidad and seeing, you know, in the construction a little bit. But, you know, I am in the journalism business, but I've never taken a journalism course, and I've never taken a business course. But I just kind of instinctually have learned. How have you, you know, been able to prosper so well? Renee, let's start with you. What put you on the track where you are today?
Well, even when I was in IT, I really enjoyed working on the project side. So trying to solve or bring solutions to where there were concerns or problems. So I think that's where my heart is, looking at how do we solve problems. So I was always on the project management side of the company, doing installations of different applications, identifying applications that would help the business run better. So again, that's something that was just innate with me. And then working in the community, working for organizations like, at one point, National President of BDPA, which is a...
You've got to explain what that is. You know it so well.
Yes, Black Data Processing Associates, was involved with that, started it as a local chapter president, worked my way up to national president, always FBLA, Future Business Leaders of America, from high school. So it's been something that just transitioned with me. It's just something I do. So when I get up in the morning, you know, my statement is, you know, how can I make a difference in someone else's life?
Wow. All right. That's very powerful. And Dolly, you know, you have built this construction company from one truck, and now I know you're on your own for many years, to how many trucks and how many projects?
Several
Right.
trucks and excavators, all kinds of tools and equipment, everything that it takes to do an excavation foundation for very small jobs, for very large jobs, but also to do general construction work and build new buildings. As you saw when you came to my office, we designed and built that back in 1998.
Beautiful, beautiful offices. Of course, you have to know, pardon me, everyone, but there's a woman's touch in this corporate office with the beautiful woods and the beautiful marble and the beautiful layout of the whole place and the lighting.
Well, I had a lot to do with the design. I knew exactly what I wanted. I wanted a kitchen. Well, I got 2 kitchens. I wanted, and because I'm involved in the community, and I always have parties and community events, I decided I wanted a community hall with a bar. And so we designed all of that. And building for other people, you know, they design something and you look at the drawings and you build it according to the specs and plans that they give you. But that building was built right over our heads. We basically designed it as we went along. We were the architects.
That's a luxury.
Actually. Yes, we designed this as we went along with the chalk and the line. Seriously, I was a physics major in high school, so I combined that with my common sense and the people around me and my son and my daughter and my engineer in the office. We decided, well, we could do this on our own. We had an engineer, of course, to design the foundation. But yes, you're right. It's sort of, for a construction office, it's sort of feminine. That's because a lady owns it.
Well, I believe we put a special touch on whatever we are involved in.
Exactly.
And I think that that's really the trick, too. You know, I think, how have you balanced your personal life with your professional life? Because being on a national board, I'm sure you have to travel a great deal.
I have a very understanding husband, an extremely understanding husband.
That's a blessing.
Absolutely. And so, and where possible, I kind of drag him with me, you know, of things that I think would be of interest to him. So that works well.
I think I met him at the Renne at Peter Meyer and Denise's wedding, right?
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
I remember.
Yes. And so it's really time management. I have a 24-hour job. So that means that if anything happens, I have to be on call. So you just learn to balance it. And I do take vacations. I just came back from Myrtle Beach golfing for 3 days.
Wow.
So I had a good time. So when I take my vacations, I take my vacations. I work very hard and I play very hard. And so that's where your balance is, because you do need that downtime. You need that time to kind of reflect and kind of rejuvenate yourself in order
I call
to
it
make...
restoring my batteries. You know, it's like plugging in to get
Absolutely.
your batteries recharged.
It's so important.
Yeah. What do you do, Dolly, to recharge?
Oh, one of my things is antiquing.
I know.
Okay,
Tell us
I am
about
a-
your
I'm a
fabulous
junkaholic.
collection. No. Sorry, I'm not letting you get away with that. Nothing I saw that you had was junk.
Okay, I take that back.
Thank
But
you.
I travel a lot, all over the world. It's not just the United States to get stuff. When I choose a venue for vacation, you know it's got to be some antiquing and all of that in that venue. I look at that to see first if there's some place for me to go shopping while my kids do something else. And
So
I
where are
choose
your
my vacation.
favorite place? Because this is what I love to do.
My favorite place, I love to go to Pennsylvania and New Jersey, very close by Connecticut, the
Oh.
Catskills, Vermont, places like that's close by that I can drive to. And then I love Europe because there are lots of sweet and
Oh,
nice stuff
absolutely.
there. I love France and Italy and Germany and Portugal, Spain.
So which place has been like a treasure trove? Is there a place that's been, oh my God, I have to stay here longer?
Well, England did that to me when I went the first time, and I repeated that many times. I have a lot of relatives, cousins who live there as well, so I don't have to pay any hotel to stay there. So it's like a cheap vacation. But we get in the car and we go shopping. But I Portobello Market.
Yes. I bought some wonderful silver frames in that market.
Oh yes, a lot of good silver
Yes.
in London, and some nice silver shop by some old, some people. Well, I met two very old Jewish men who had these shops right in Knightsbridge. Beautiful silver. You have to go there. I'm going to give you the address.
No,
They're
I'm
still
going to
there.
go with you. I think
We're
you
going to
should
go
come-
together.
we
I think
should
we all should go.
All
Yes,
all
all
go.
right.
Sounds
We're gonna-
good.
I mean, this is,
I think
I
so.
mean, I don't know. There's something. This past weekend, we opened our Long Island City flea market, and we called it a flea market and an international food bazaar. Well, my son is running it, but I was running around making sure that I shopped till I dropped. Because after all, there were these wonderful vendors, and I got to get them business to make sure they're successful. But everybody had something interesting to sell. So for me, when I was at your place and I saw your collections.
Oh, I'm so passionate about that stuff. I have to tell you, this is really great therapy for myself, and I think for millions of other women and men, that, as I found out. Because I can be thinking about, well, when am I going to pay this bill? What am I going to do? What's happening in the job? What are we going to do today to solve this problem? But as soon as I look at some of those things that I collect, it takes me away in a different direction, and I'm totally calm. And that's why you see that all around me. It's not by accident. It's not by accident at all.
I noticed you do a lot of the minority women. If you could share with our viewers how you've been able to navigate being a woman in business and using it for your benefit through some of these women initiatives that the government has allowed.
Well, I've always been an advocate, and I'm in business 34 years. I've always been a part of groups because I give back a lot to my community. Social responsibility is one of my things. But minority advocacy, minority and women-owned business advocacy is really my passion. And I become so passionate with it. I sometimes become angry when I see what should be happening, not happening. And we still have, although we have several programs. When I started, I knew nothing of, I knew I was a business person. I was a contractor. I had no idea. The fact that I was a woman, it didn't matter. This is what I was doing because this is what I thought was the lot that God gave me. This was the pursuit of my American dream. This is how I was going to achieve this American dream. So that was that was all I thought of. It didn't matter if I was a woman, if I was a minority. But then later I began to see that there were programs with the Port Authority, with the SBA, and the SBA helped me a lot. Low interest direct loans at that time to buy equipment and for working capital. And now we have so many programs with the state, the SDC, with the city, Department of Small Business Services, which there's so many. So people have a lot of ways to get into those opportunities. It was a bit different for me. The way I learned to do the business was to pick up the city record, see where the jobs
That's from the way you started, just the same
and
way.
go bid the job, get the bid bond. The first one I bid, I didn't even realize I had to have a bond. So of course my bid was thrown out. So that's the way I learned. I learned a lot from agencies like HPD, the Parks Department.
And they held your hand a little bit?
Yes,
How
definitely.
does then National
definitely.
Grid, which is now what you're called, right? National Grid, is working with businesses like, let's say, Dolly's, to help her
It's interesting you mentioned that because we just had an event with the Brooklyn Chamber. I actually sit as the co-chair of the MWBE committee for the Brooklyn Chamber of Commerce, and we had something at National Grid where we had Citibank and National Grid and Con Ed, and we had a procurement session to talk about ways to get involved with the procurement programs that we have at National Grid. We have an excellent director of supply diversity, Carla Hunter Ramsey. She's relatively new to the team. She's been around for a while, but she's been doing an excellent job.
Maybe
really,
a future top woman in
absolutely,
business.
Absolutely. Yeah, she's been doing a great job in really getting the word out to share that information, you know, to look at ways in which we can increase our portfolio as we look across the, you know, the company, because we are, you know, a multicultural, multi-state company, and we're also an international company. So we get involved with a lot of things, both internationally as well as in the different states. We also have what's called employee resource groups, which one is called Black Leadership, or the Black Association, I'm getting them all mixed, Alliance of Black Professionals. And we also have WIN, which is the Women in Networking. So those are other ways that we get involved. We also have
Now, what's the Women in Networking? That's interesting.
Women in Networking.
You know, we're into this whole networking world, right?
Women in Networking is a group of women throughout the company, and it's actually both international.
So internally, within National Grid International.
And we look at ways to network not only externally but internally. We get involved with conferences, we have meetings. So we do things both internally and externally for minorities, whether you're Asian or African American, Hispanic, Pride. We have all those type of group, veterans. So we look at ways that we can, you know, engage everyone in the company, because truly the strength of our company is based on the diversity.
Do you see that things are getting a little bit better? Is there more business available now? Have you feel just that little uptick?
Yes. Yes, definitely, definitely. And especially in Brooklyn. There's so much happening with the real estate market. Look, we are just booming here. And in addition to me being a contractor, I'm a small developer. So I'm always out there looking to see what I can buy and what I can build.
So where's the next neighborhood? What's the next neighborhood?
The Gowanus is the next neighborhood. We all know that. Because, look, we're done with Williamsburg, Park Slope, Carroll Gardens, Cobble Hill, Brooklyn Heights. So to complete that circle, you know, we're all around the town center. We come off the bridges and we're right into downtown. And then we start off with Brooklyn Heights, and then we have Cobble Hill, Carroll Gardens, the Gowanus, Park Slope, Prospect Heights, and Fort Greene, and we make the circle. So we need those brownstone residential neighborhoods around us, and of course new buildings. So I think the next boom for building and residence and mixed use is the Gowanus. And I'm more than happy to be. I'm very, very pleased that I'm there. I feel very lucky to be there.
You know, I think what's happening too, the cleaning up of the Gowanus Canal,
Yes,
helps that too. You know, each little piece, it's like a puzzle to put it together to make it whole. And then now the opportunities.
well, we will see Venice and the Gowanus before we get too much older. I just have a feeling that, and I'm part of it, and I want to see that happen for my children and for my grandchildren and for everybody there. There are a lot of people there that have been there for generations in the Gowanus, and they still live there, non-conforming legal use, but they live there. So we have already a mixed-use area where you have people living and you have a little bit of industry. But I think that the industry part of it is, especially manufacturing, it's not there anymore. We still have some car servicing, so we still have some construction businesses, and now we see the hotels coming.
In Gowanus?
Yes, we have about 4 or 5 of them already.
How do you see the future in your company and in your business? What do you see coming up in the near future for your company and for you personally?
From my company perspective, you know, we're really trying to be out there with our slogan, which is really, we're here with you and here for you, and that's what we really are. We're about giving back. We're a global company with a local focus. So ways that we can really show our customers that we're really there for them. For example, with the Sandy, our Sandy Relief Program, we had a $30 million initiative, which is still going on, because we realize that it's important for residents to get back into their homes and businesses to be back on the ground to help. You know, that's part of what we do. So that was a big initiative, and it's still going on. We're still giving out dollars for the Sandy, for those that are in need of Sandy. a relief.
And what about you, Dolly? What do you see for your company and for your, well, you don't have just one business. I mean, I see you in this other business. I see the picture right there.
I see myself in the other business as well.
Yes.
And as I was telling you in the green room there, that I see myself on Third Avenue doing a country shop and an antique store. Well, that's my sideline business. But I think that I've always said, and this was actually what we had planned, you know, with Carl and I, for the children, that they would be, you know, my son is a neuroendocrinologist. My daughter is a Wall Street analyst. They have not practiced in their fields for years. They have been in the construction industry with us. So I would like to see my business go on to the next generation. I really want to, and I'm working towards that right now, so that I can free up myself to do the things that I really want to do, like the antique business and all of the designs. You know, I like to design stuff and make stuff. You haven't seen, you saw some of the stuff that I collect. I think you saw some of the jewelry that I made, but you haven't seen all of the household things that I do. It's fabulous things that I
Another book, I got to turn the page.
Yeah, and I have an entrepreneur bug as well. In time, but my first business was when I was 13 years old. I had my own aquarium business. I used to make aquariums.
Wonderful.
So I have that little bug in me as well. And
yes,
as I look to transition, I will be looking to go into that realm.
The aquarium business?
No.
Oh.
More people skills, soft skills, give back, motivational speaking, that type of thing. I love doing that. So that gives me the opportunity to give back, you know, seeing people develop themselves, giving them opportunity to see all the options that are available that sometimes they don't see. So having that opportunity to share my experiences, sharing the good and the bad and the different, but saying that even despite some of the obstacles you may have, you still have the ability to achieve and succeed, and you're a perfect example of that. You know, just all the things that you're doing, from from being in Queens and moving to Brooklyn, and you know, getting involved with your business, those type of things. Just being able to share those things, it's so important.
Well, would you say? I mean, you touched on that. Maybe the most important thing is a good education.
Absolutely.
You know, I mean, people
Absolutely.
say, "Oh, what's a piece of paper?"
Yes.
Absolutely.
A piece of paper is very powerful, right?
Absolutely.
So if you have one piece of advice,
Right.
what would it be for you?
Right.
To give
I would
people?
say education is important, and it doesn't always have to be college. Of course, that's what we want and we prefer, but there's other programs out there that would provide that type of education, because in some cases, you know, we have skills. There are skills there, so we won't.
They're going
you know,
back to skill
going
training.
back to
This
skill
is like, you
training.
know,
So that's very important.
They
So
finally
getting
got the fact that you can't do away with the vocational schools and the training schools.
Absolutely,
You need them desperately.
absolutely, and that I actually did that when I was in high school. I had vocational training in the IT area that opened up that door for me. So there has to be a balance of both. Absolutely, if you can get your college degree, absolutely go for it. But there's other opportunities as well, and so we want people to see that there's more than one way, you know, to get to your goal. And if that's not the way you go, but whatever you decide to do, you know, just maintain, be focused, be determined, you know, and set your goals, have your own vision, and let no one ever derail you of your own vision. You know, you may have obstacles, you may have things that may take you off track, but when you have that vision placed in your head, there's no one that can derail you except for yourself.
What about you, Dolly? That's so beautifully said.
Well, I think that women now, I come from a generation of women that walk behind. And of course, I changed a lot of things in my generation for my
Well,
family.
what gave you that courage
Yes,
to
but
break away from that walking behind?
I just think I was just such a vivacious young woman when I was growing up. I didn't want to listen. I was sort of rebellious, you know, and I still am. But I wanted to change that. I think that I know I can speak of Indian women, because Indian women are very educated women, and they do a lot of stuff. They're lawyers, they're doctors, even the prime minister. And even in Trinidad, we have an Indian prime minister who now is of Indian heritage. You know, it's an Indian woman. So I know that we have the ability and the capability to do any and everything. We also have the ability to have so much fun. We just have to get it in there, you know, and I think that when we do things that we love, the fun just comes.
Yes.
I never, on my kitchen counter, I have this pad, and I would write, you know, although I have my iPhone, I have no time with that, I just write. And I would write several things. And I feel if I wrote 10 things down, I would, and I accomplished 2 of them. You know, it's okay with me. But the fun part, I would leave some of those items just to go have some fun with a friend or do something crazy or go shopping. Shopping is one of my things that if everything else fails, I jump in the car and I go shopping.
What is that? I agree. It's like the best therapy in the whole world, right?
Perfumes and jewelry and dresses and shoes, we can't have enough of that. So why shouldn't we and you know, we have all these nice little shops now, and I want to plug Brooklyn even more. We have all these little shops along Atlantic Avenue, Fifth Avenue.
But a lot of the antique shops went away from Atlantic Avenue. There used to be a whole row of those.
Well,
Are they still
it's
hidden?
gone.
It
It's
is
gone. I
gone.
think we have 1 or 2 of them. And
Where
that
did
used
it
to be.
go? Where did they go?
I have no idea. I think it became cost prohibitive, the real estate. So they just couldn't stay. And if you didn't own the property, and I have to tell everyone who wants to be in business, try to buy the property, because, you know, and you know, before you put the business in it, because it really, really kills the business when the rent goes up, you know, continuously, and rents are really high. One of the things that is a downside of doing business in Brooklyn for many people, especially for smaller entrepreneurs. I have to tell you that I was like totally, not totally surprised, but I was very pleased, I should say, to see the entrepreneurs that were on the on the street fair, in the street on Sunday, the quality of the jewelry and all of the things that these, especially women, that they make, and the way they lay it out right in the street on a table. It's fabulous. And I was telling my sister, this is amazing. If some of these women could get together and maybe be in a mall or something like that. And I know that the city has something like the incubator. I don't know if it's for...
the incubators for cooking.
Yes, yes.
They do a lot of that. In fact, some of the people from for our Long Island City flea market, the food vendors came from the incubators.
Right.
Where they couldn't afford to have a stone and mortar building. They work out of that incubator. Now they're working out of the flea market to actually sell their products. Because that's a problem, to find a place that you can afford to sell your product.
Well, EDC has, I know EDC, we built actually, I got the contract to build the Caribbean Vendors Market, which is on Flatbush and Caton, the Caton Vendor Market. So there are several vendors in there. And these are all Caribbean women, mostly Caribbean women.
Inside and indoor?
Indoor, yes, yes, and they're there, and I think they stay for 5 years until they can either transition out. If they're going to make it, they're going to get a storefront somewhere and move out. So this is, the Bloomberg administration has done a lot in terms of helping small entrepreneurs, you know, to try to prosper.
Yeah, well, I think that very much so is what happens in terms of the, you know, this whole administration of focusing on small business to make it grow. And I think there's opportunities with being a woman of minority-owned business is also enormous. So I think that that helps us as well to be able to flourish.
Yeah, and I know they passed some laws, I think local law 129 and some other programs to, you know, to benefit women and minority businesses. So the administration has done a lot.
Does Keyspan do that too? Does Keyspan have opportunities for minority businesses, or it really, you know, talks to all businesses?
We talk to all businesses, but we do, through our supply diversity initiative, we do focus on that. And I know Carla Hunter-Ramsey is...
Oh, that's what you started to talk about.
Yeah, she was very involved with that. National Grid is very involved with that.
Well, I think that the, you know, the wondrous thing of having you here, Renne and Dolly, is just to learn about the world you're living in, and with all due respect, succeeding dramatically in.
Thank you.
And, you know, there's no magic pill to success. I think you'll both agree that the one magic ingredient is hard work.
Absolutely.
That's correct.
And the best
Hard
is yet
work.
to come.
Yes.
All right,
The
wonderful.
best is
Thank
yet
you
to
so
come.
much for being with me tonight.
Thank
you for having me.
Yes, thank you.